Have you ever found yourself, just yearning for something deeper? A better understanding of life, maybe? Beyond the endless to-do lists and just the fleeting moments?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a common feeling, isn't it? We get so caught up in the day-to-day, the stuff we can see and measure.
Right.
And sometimes you hit a point where you wonder, is this it? Am I missing something, like fundamental?
Exactly that question. And that's actually what we're doing today. We're taking a really unique deep dive,
Hmm.
not into, say, a scientific study or a historical text, but into the personal notes, the actual insights of this remarkable individual called Teacher Liao.
Teacher Liao, okay.
Yeah. And these aren't just, casual thoughts. They're really direct, sometimes pretty startling answers to big questions, like about existence itself, spirituality, human nature, our place in the universe, which he sees as maybe quite different.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
What's really striking about figures like him is how they often just turn conventional wisdom on its head. They make you rethink everything you thought you knew about, well, reality.
Reality.
So,
Exactly. So our mission here is to pull out some of the most, let's say, potent and maybe transformative ideas from his reflections.
Mhm.
We'll look at his views on the nature of reality. Is it real? Is it an illusion? The purpose of being here? But also, surprisingly, practical stuff like how to handle tough emotions, navigate tricky relationships, even how we view success.
Okay.
So yeah, prepare for a conversation that might challenge some assumptions. Hopefully it offers a new lens, maybe a liberating one, to look at your own life.
Sounds like a proper deep dive. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's dive right into the core of Teacher Liao's thinking. He frames existence itself really provocatively. Life is a grand illusion and a journey of self-discovery.
Right.
And he starts with this statement that honestly sounds pretty bleak at first. My life's value is emptiness and its meaning is meaninglessness. That sounds almost nihilistic, doesn't it? But you're saying he sees this as liberating. How?
Yeah, that's the immediate reaction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Emptiness, meaninglessness. It sounds like despair. But he flips it. Think about all the pressure we're under. From day one, it's find your purpose, be successful, leave a legacy, get rich, change the world. All these expectations.
Right, this huge weight.
Exactly. Teacher Liao is basically asking, what if that whole framework is wrong? What if life doesn't come preloaded with some grand external meaning we have to find?
Okay.
If its inherent value is emptiness, not nothingness, but maybe, potential, unfilled space, then suddenly you're free. You're not obligated to fit into some predefined cosmic role.
Ah, okay. Like a blank canvas instead of a paint by numbers.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's the liberation. It removes that heavy burden of what life should be according to, society or tradition.
Yeah.
And it opens up space for genuine expression, for just experiencing instead of just following a script.
That is a powerful shift from destiny to invitation. And within this emptiness, he also talks about life being a series of continuous farewells, highlighting how transient everything is, experiences, connections, everything. It just comes and goes. This seems really central to his view, this acceptance of impermanence.
It really is foundational.
Okay.
Because think about how much we suffer when we fight against impermanence.
Yeah, clinging on.
We cling to people, to things, to status, even feelings, as if they'll last forever. And when they inevitably change or disappear, we feel pain, loss.
Right.
By seeing life as continuous farewells, he's not being morbid.
Yeah.
He's inviting us to fully engage with this moment, right now, knowing it won't last.
Yeah.
It actually makes the present more precious, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. You appreciate it more because it's fleeting.
Exactly. Being fully present in the experience, knowing it's unique, knowing it will pass.
Okay, so despite this apparent emptiness and the constant goodbyes, he says our purpose isn't finding some external meaning, but rather to create, experience, learn, and recreate. He calls this a 100% free expression, which sounds like life is this dynamic, ongoing process of unfolding ourselves, not tied to a specific outcome.
Absolutely. It's like that artist with the blank canvas again. Their purpose isn't just to copy something, it's to express their unique vision.
Right.
He's suggesting our purpose is similar. It lies in this cycle. We create our reality through how we see things, how we act. Then we experience the results of that. We learn from it. And then we use that learning to recreate, to try again, maybe differently.
So it's constant evolution.
Constant evolution, driven by our own agency. This 100% free expression means we're active participants, not just passengers finding a preset destination. It's all about the becoming, moment by moment.
Okay, now this is where it gets, well, a bit more cosmic, maybe even a bit sci-fi. He talks about life being a game, an empty dream, and he places this game within what he calls a cosmic prison. And for him, this isn't just a metaphor. He actually suggests our reality, time, space, it's all part of a huge self-created computer program.
Right, the days and ones O and OF idea.
Yeah, and he sees humans, us, as potentially AI clones or tools of consciousness inside this program, trying to remember our true nature. This is pretty out there. What does he mean by cosmic prison and this AI clone idea?
It's definitely a radical concept. The cosmic prison isn't like iron bars. It's more about the limitations imposed by the program itself. Our senses, our linear thinking, our perception of time. We're imprisoned by our limited view, mistaking the simulation, the game, for the ultimate reality.
So we're stuck inside the game's rules without realizing it.
Kind of, yeah. You're so immersed we forget we might be the players, or even, as he implies, the consciousness that dreamed up the game in the first place.
Okay. And the AI clones part, are we just robots then?
Not exactly robots in the mechanical sense. It implies our individual identities, the I we feel ourselves to be, might not be our deepest reality. They could be, sophisticated avatars or expressions of a larger, unified consciousness operating within the rules of this cosmic program. But the point isn't to feel trapped. The purpose of being these clones within the prison is actually to recollect our true nature, to wake up inside the simulation, to remember we're more than just the character we're playing. The perceived limits are actually part of the process designed to push us towards that remembering.
This is where it gets, really interesting and maybe a bit busying. He makes a sharp distinction between the true self and the I. The true self, he says, is basically everything. The universe, the interconnected essence, but the I, that's the false self, the temporary thing we build up our ego, personality, our story.
Right, the mask.
Yeah. And when asked what is true self, he apparently just says, it is I, myself, which seems to underline that connection that the universal is right here in the individual.
It's pointing inwards, always.
And the way to freedom, he insists, is saying a firm no to this false, ego-driven I. How does that distinction actually play out in daily life? We're so attached to our I.
It's huge. That I is the story we tell ourselves, right?
Yeah.
My past, my future plans, my opinions, what I like, what I hate, my job title, my relationships. It's the voice in the head, constantly judging, comparing.
Yeah, the narrator.
Exactly. And teacher Liao says that I is the root of so much suffering because it creates separation. It makes us feel cut off from the unified self. Saying no isn't about destroying yourself. It's about disidentifying from the ego's constant chatter and its illusion of being separate.
So letting go of the story.
Letting go of the attachment to the story, it frees up so much energy that was going into defending that false identity. It's like peeling away layers to find the real you underneath, the awareness that's always there, watching the I play its part in the game. You realize you're the watcher, not just the actor.
Okay. So, given all this life is a game, maybe we're AI clones, our deep self is connected to everything. How might this change things for you, the listener? Does hearing this make your daily problems seem, I don't know, smaller? Or maybe your own journey feels more significant knowing you're part of this vast program aimed at remembering? It could really shift how you see everything you call real. All right, let's shift gears slightly. From the nature of existence itself, teacher Liao turns to the forces that seem to govern it. He talks about the illusion of control, digging into ideas like fate, karma, and these cycles we often feel caught in. He uses this metaphor of the world as a constantly changing chessboard. And on this board, there's no absolute good or bad, no fixed right or wrong.
Right.
The key, he says, isn't sticking rigidly to one strategy, but random adaptation and just being prepared. This implies a kind of fluidity that many of us probably resist. What's he getting at with no absolute good or bad?
It's really about a non-dual perspective. We humans love putting things in boxes. Good, bad, success, failure, right, wrong. But from a bigger viewpoint, maybe a cosmic one, these are just labels we stick on things within the game.
Okay.
What looks bad now might be the very thing needed for growth later. Like, think of a forest fire, devastating in the short term, but ecologically necessary for regeneration. He's urging us to step back from those immediate judgments and embrace random adaptation, because the chessboard is always changing. If you cling to fixed ideas of good and bad, you become brittle, resistant to life's flow. Preparedness isn't knowing the future. It's being mentally flexible enough to respond skillfully to whatever comes up without getting stuck on how things should be.
Being present and adaptable. And
Exactly.
this flow, this constant change, seems deeply connected to cause and effect for him.
Right.
He stresses that karma is real, like really real.
Unequivocal.
Our actions now directly shape future lives. It's this inescapable law across lifetimes, ensuring, as he puts it, good people get good rewards, not arbitrarily, but because of this causal chain. How does he see karma working? Is it like cosmic justice?
He sees it less as judgment from some divine entity and more like a natural law, like gravity.
Yeah.
Impersonal, precise. Every thought, word, action sends out an energetic ripple. And eventually that ripple circles back.
Okay, makes sense.
So good people get good rewards because their actions align with a sort of universal harmony. They create positive ripples that naturally return positive experiences. It's not a reward system imposed from outside. It's inherent in the energy dynamics.
And the flip side too, presumably.
Right. Actions causing harm or discord create negative ripples that inevitably loop back as difficult experiences. And the key is this operates across lifetimes. It's not just about this one life. It's about the buildup of these energetic patterns influencing our rebirths until the accounts are balanced, so to speak. It's an ongoing energetic balancing act.
Now, this might make some people uncomfortable, but he takes this karma idea right into our relationships. All close relationships, parents, partners, siblings, friends, he calls them karmic debts.
Mm-hmm. Onzai.
He puts it starkly. No debt, no encounter. Meaning we meet specific people because we have these karmic obligations to fulfill with them, and this continues until the debt is paid, often ending, he says, in separation or death. This kind of strips the romance away, doesn't it? What's the value in seeing relationships as debt?
It definitely challenges the Hollywood version, but it's not meant to devalue relationships. It's meant to explain their purpose from this karmic viewpoint. Debt here isn't money. It's an energetic imbalance, an unresolved connection from the past.
Okay.
It suggests souls come together again specifically to balance these energies. Maybe to give love they didn't give before, maybe to learn a lesson they resisted, maybe to resolve an old conflict. So no debt, no encounter means there's a deep reason why this person is in your life. You're together to complete some energetic transaction.
And the separation or death?
That signifies the completion of that particular karmic contract. The energetic books are balanced for that specific interaction, allowing both souls to move on. It can actually bring a strange kind of peace to difficult relationships, seeing them as opportunities for resolution, not just random suffering. It explains why some connections feel so intense or unavoidable.
There's a real sense of inevitability in how he describes these cycles. Birth leads to death, death leads to birth, this constant loop. And it's not just random repetition, it's a reenactment. Like we keep playing out the same patterns until we finally get the lesson.
Exactly. That reenactment idea is key. Think about learning anything complex you practice, mess up, learn, repeat. Life, for teacher Liao, is like that on a grand scale. We're born into situations shaped by past karma. We live, we die, we're reborn, often replaying unresolved themes or lessons.
So the goal is to break the cycle.
Not just break it, but to understand the illusion driving it. To realize these are all scenes in the game, designed to wake us up to our true self, the part of us that exists beyond these cycles of birth and death. It's like a cosmic feedback loop for learning.
And speaking of plays, he comes back to that. Life is a play. If you get too deep, it's hard to pull away. That really hits home, especially when you're caught up in drama. The goal isn't to run away from life, but to become an aware participant, to see the drama for what it is and detach emotionally so you're not just controlled by your thoughts and reactions.
It's incredibly practical advice.
Yeah.
We all get lost in the movie of life, right?
Yeah.
We feel the emotions intensely, but there's a part of us that knows it's a story unfolding. Suffering kicks in when we forget that, when we get too deep and over-identify with our role, our feelings, the plot twists. The aim isn't emotional numbness. It's feeling with awareness, participating fully, but without being totally consumed. It's about nurturing that inner observer, the one who can watch the play without getting swept off stage by every gust of wind. That detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. Freedom from being jerked around by the plot.
So thinking about this for you listening, does hearing about these cycles, karma, relationships as debts, life as a play, does it bring a sense of peace, maybe understanding, or does it feel constraining? How might seeing life as a performance you're aware of observing it slightly from the wings perhaps change how you engage with things day to day, your decisions, your reactions? It really asks us to examine how immersed we are, Hashtag tag practical wisdom for navigating life's challenges. All right, let's move into what feels like more hands-on wisdom from teacher Liao. How to navigate challenges, starting with emotional suffering. He talks about the power of acceptance and letting go. And his advice is quite direct, maybe even jarring. When you stop caring, everything returns to its original place. He also says things like criticism are often self-inflicted wounds from our own reactions. Is he really telling us to just be indifferent? What does stop caring mean here?
Yeah, it sounds harsh, stop caring. But no, it's not about indifference to others or life. It's about detaching from the outcome and, crucially, from what other people think, especially when their opinions hook our ego.
Ah. Oh.
Think about it. Someone criticizes you. The sting isn't usually in the words themselves. It's your internal reaction, your ego feeling attacked, your attachment to being seen a certain way. Those are the self-inflicted wounds.
Right, the story we tell ourselves about the criticism.
Exactly. So stopping caring means letting go of needing that external validation, letting go of the internal drama the judgment sparks, letting go of fighting reality. When you stop feeding those reactions, the external stuff loses its power over you. It returns to its original place. It's just noise. It doesn't disturb your inner state.
Maintaining inner balance regardless.
Precisely.
Which leads right into another core idea. Acceptance removes karma. Resistance invites disaster. That's huge. It implies that just by accepting what is, rather than fighting it, we actually reduce suffering and untangle ourselves energetically. Can you unpack how acceptance actually removes karma?
Yeah, it's powerful. Remember the cause and effect ripples. When we resist a situation through anger, fear, frustration, we're actively pushing against the flow. That push is an action, an energy, and it creates new negative karma, tangling us even deeper in the problem we're trying to escape.
Like struggling in quicksand makes you sink faster.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Or fighting a river current. Acceptance for him isn't being passive or giving up. It's a conscious choice to acknowledge, okay, this is the reality right now, without adding the extra layer of struggle or judgment. This acceptance dissolves the negative emotional charge around the situation. It allows the lesson embedded in the karma to be learned and integrated without creating more resistance. So the karmic cycle related to that issue can complete. Rather than just repeating itself, it's actually a very efficient way to handle difficulties.
And this ties into true freedom, which he says comes from letting go of attachment to both success or failure. He sees both as just part of the precious process and experience. It's not about winning or losing, but the journey itself. If you can truly let go of needing a specific result, you've kind of already won, haven't you? In a different way.
You absolutely have. Our society drills into us. Success good, failure bad. We live on that seesaw. But Liao says, transcend that whole duality. They're just temporary labels.
Right.
What's real, what's precious, is the experience, the effort, the learning, the interactions, the feelings. If your happiness depends only on the success label, you're in for a rough ride. By letting go of attachment to either outcome, you free yourself to just be fully in the process.
And find value there regardless of the label.
Exactly. You can learn just as much, maybe more, from a failure. You're no longer controlled by the external judgment. You're enriched by the internal journey. That's where real contentment is found.
Okay, this next one is maybe the most radical idea yet. He defines true freedom as the courage for the self to disappear.
Wow.
Yeah. He believes our perceived individual self, the ego with all its attachments and desires, is the main source of our suffering. So when that self dissolves, that's when real freedom happens. It's like letting go of who you think you are to discover who you really are.
It sounds terrifying initially, doesn't it? Disappear. But the self he's talking about is the ego, the false self, the construct that creates all the boundaries, the wanting, the fearing. Think about it. Your desire for success, for control, for things to be different, for people to like, it all comes from that ego self. It keeps us trapped in a loop of wanting and judging. The courage for the self to disappear isn't about dying. It's about disidentifying from that egoic voice.
Shedding the labels and beliefs.
Shedding all the accumulated baggage that makes up your perceived identity. It takes courage because that identity feels like us. But when it falls away, what's left isn't nothingness. It's the true self, the universal consciousness, which is inherently free, peaceful, boundless. It's liberation from the ego's prison.
And he connects this directly to mental suffering, like depression. He says it's often a sign that the soul cannot stand your obsession with the false self.
Yeah, a very direct spiritual diagnosis.
The cure. Firmly saying no to this false self and keeping that up until death, which he sees as ultimate liberation. This isn't a quick fix. It's a lifelong commitment to refusing the ego's control.
It's a powerful framing. The soul, Our deepest true nature gets suffocated or ignored when the ego's demands and dramas dominate our lives. That internal conflict, that disconnect, manifests as deep anguish or depression. The soul is essentially saying, this isn't real, this isn't you. So firmly saying no is a moment-by-moment practice. Noticing when the ego is driving fear, comparison, judgment, desire, and consciously choosing not to follow it, choosing to align with the deeper selves instead. And yeah, until death signifies this isn't a phase, it's the path. Death itself then becomes the final release from the temporary confines of the body and ego. It's a radical dedication to inner freedom.
What's amazing is he doesn't just leave it there as this intense spiritual battle. He offers something very concrete, a practical remedy, especially for severe distress or depression. He strongly recommends listening to and singing something called the 5 Elements 6 Rhythm Song. He and his wife, who apparently recovered from recurrent cancer using this, are witnesses to its power. He claims it boosts the immune system, helps overcome illness, and costs nothing. What is this song? Why does he think sound can be so healing?
This really shows his holistic view, blending the spiritual with practical energetics rooted in Chinese tradition. The 5 elements, wood, fire, earth, metal, water, are fundamental in Chinese philosophy. They represent cosmic energies and their cycles in nature, the body, emotions, everything.
Okay.
The 6 rhythms likely refer to specific musical tones or vibrational patterns linked to these elements. In traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong, sound, vibration, and specific tones are believed to directly influence our qi, our life force, and restore balance to these elements within us.
So singing the song is like tuning your internal energy.
Exactly. By listening and singing, he suggests you're actively harmonizing your internal energy fields, clearing blockages and vibrating at a frequency conducive to health. The fact that he points to personal experience, especially his wife's serious illness, highlights his focus on tangible results, even from something as simple as a song. It's using universal energy principles for healing.
Okay, so let's bring this back to you, the listener. What false selves or maybe attachments are you holding on to? Things that might be causing struggle or blocking your sense of freedom? Could trying this idea of self-disappearance, even just mentally exploring it, open up some space for peace? And have you ever considered something as simple as sound, like a specific song, as a tool for shifting your state or even promoting healing? It's a reminder that powerful tools aren't always complicated or costly. Let's shift now to Teacher Liao's unique take on effort, experience, and failure. He sees failure not as an end, but as a crucial teacher.
A very different perspective.
He starts by saying that a lot of human effort is often just a necessary performance for others, driven by external expectations, not inner purpose. Can you unpack that? It sounds a bit cynical again.
Maybe less cynical and more observant. Think about how much we do to impress the boss, get likes on social media, meet family expectations, maintain an image.
Yeah, definitely.
We put in the effort, we strive.
Yeah.
But is it coming from a place of genuine passion? Or are we performing for an audience, even an imaginary one? That kind of effort driven by external validation often feels draining, right?
Right.
Because it's not truly us.
Right. It lacks that inner spark.
Exactly. He's prompting us to ask, how much of my effort is performance and how much is authentic expression? When it's authentic, effort becomes flow, not a burden.
Okay. And then he says genuine wisdom comes when we focus on elevating spiritual energy. How? By refining and transforming material that causes harm into energy, spiritual energy. So turning negative stuff into spiritual fuel. How does that work?
He's like spiritual alchemy. Takes something difficult, betrayal, loss, and illness. The material that causes harm is the event, yes, but also the suffering around it.
Yeah.
The anger, the grief, the victim narrative. Instead of just wallowing in that raw, painful stuff which drains you, you consciously work with it. You acknowledge the pain, but you look for the lesson. You try to cultivate forgiveness or find strength you didn't know you had. You refine it.
So you don't ignore the pain, but you transform your relationship to it.
Precisely. It's about extracting the wisdom from the raw material. When you do that, the energy shifts. That negative experience stops being just a wound and becomes a source of deeper understanding, compassion, resilience. It contributes to your spiritual growth. The harmful material gets transmuted into spiritual energy.
And he seems to have lived this. He shares that like 99% of his own battles ended in failure. 99%.
Incredible statistic, if true.
But he says he was never defeated, always got back up, and he credits this constant cycle of falling and rising for his rich life experiences. He even says life's progress is accumulated failures, and that truly successful people, they haven't been born or are long gone. This just blows up the whole idea of success.
Completely flips the script. Failure is usually the enemy, right? Something to hide, be ashamed of. But he frames it as the main ingredient for progress. If 99% failure didn't defeat him, it means his definition of defeat wasn't about the external outcome.
Right, it was internal.
It was about whether he gave up on the process, the learning, the trying again. Each failure was just data, a course correction. Life's progress is accumulated failures. Means growth isn't a smooth upward line. It's messy, built on mistakes and rebounds.
And the comment about truly successful people.
It suggests that the conventional idea of perfect lasting success is basically an illusion, maybe unattainable in this human realm. It's always a journey, and the journey itself, including all the bumps and failures, is the real success. He's basically saying, stop being terrified of failure. Welcome it as your most valuable teacher.
So if failure is the path, what are we actually aiming for? For him, happiness isn't the destination, it's found in the process. He learned to enjoy the ride through 100% acceptance and 100% letting go, seeing even failures as lessons. He apparently trained himself to smile through it all, embodying this idea of becoming a 1,000-tempered, 100-refined diamond true heart. What does that metaphor mean? A diamond heart.
It's a beautiful image, isn't it? Comes from forging metal, heating, hammering, cooling over and over to burn off impurities and make it incredibly strong.
Okay.
1,000-tempered, 100-refined diamond true heart is an inner core, the true heart, that's been through the intense heat and pressure of life's challenges, the failures, the suffering. But instead of shattering, it's become purified, resilient, strong, clear like a diamond.
Forged by adversity.
Exactly. It's a heart that radiates wisdom and peace because it's faced and integrated everything, embracing it all with that 100% acceptance and letting go. It's a kind of inner invincibility born not from avoiding difficulty, but from transforming it.
So, how might your definition of success be holding you back, limiting your growth or happiness? Could reframing failure not as an end, but as Liao calls it, life's progress, actually open up new possibilities for you, encourage you to try things you were afraid to fail at, maybe even find a way to smile through the learning process? It really challenges our fear of messing up. Okay, now for maybe one of the most challenging sections, navigating relationships. Teacher Liao makes this incredibly bold statement. The best relationship is no relationship.
Yeah, that one definitely stops you in your tracks.
It seems to fly in the face of everything we value, connection, family, love. Is he just advocating for becoming a hermit? What's he really getting at?
No, it's almost certainly not a call for isolation. It's provocative on purpose to make us question what we mean by a good relationship.
Right.
Usually we think closeness, mutual need, deep emotional ties.
Right.
But from his viewpoint, those very things can become sources of attachment, expectation, suffering, and that karmic debt we talked about. No relationship likely points to a state of complete energetic freedom within connection.
Freedom within it. How?
It means interacting without being bound by neediness, expectations, or demands. It's relating from a place of inner wholeness and unconditional giving, not needing the other person to fill a void or act a certain way. True freedom in relating is the absence of clinging to its form or outcome. It's pure connection, unburdened by the usual ego games. So not being alone, but being free while connected.
He draws a really sharp line between love and affection. He says, love is endless giving, affection is endless demanding.
Big difference.
Yeah, and he warns against confusing them, calling love affection deceptive because it mixes these opposites. True compassion, like a bodhisattva's great love, he says, is equal and detached. That's a high standard for love. Can you break down that distinction? Why is love affection tricky?
It's a crucial distinction for him. Affection is what we usually experience. It's rooted in emotional attachment, personal preference, often with an unspoken expectation of getting something back. When I feel affection, there's often a subtle or not so subtle demand. Meet my needs, make me feel good, behave how I want. If those demands aren't met, affection can sour into resentment or disappointment. That's the endless demanding.
Okay.
Love, especially this great love, is totally different. It's unconditional, selfless, endless giving with zero expectation of return. It's equal, extending to everyone without bias, and detached, free from personal desire or egoic need. Pure compassion.
And the danger of love affection
is that we mistake our demanding affection for love. We project our needs onto others, call it love, and then get hurt when they don't fulfill our hidden agenda. He's guiding us towards a purer connection that doesn't trap either person.
He also offers this really interesting lens on perceiving others. When people seem stupid or incompetent, He suggests it might sometimes be a special way of showing affection, or even a deliberate choice to avoid intimidating others.
Yeah, that's quite something.
He admits he sometimes acts stupid himself to avoid dominating people, something he learned after being arrogant when younger. It really makes you pause before judging someone's perceived flaws.
It's incredibly insightful and humble. Our first reaction to stupidity is often irritation or judgment. But he asks us to look deeper. Could it be vulnerability? A way of showing trust? Or, like his example, a conscious choice to downplay one's own abilities to create harmony?
To level the playing field, maybe.
Exactly. To avoid overpowering someone. It's a lesson in looking beyond the surface behavior and considering hidden intentions or strategies. It breeds patience and understanding, doesn't it? Instead of just reacting.
It really does. Now, applying this to family, which he calls the most intense debt zones because of the deep karma, his advice for dealing with adult family members over 20 is quite specific. Don't try to manage, worry, or reason with them.
Counterintuitive for many parents.
Totally. Instead, he says, just offer encouragement and affirmation. Because they probably already know the logic of what they should do, but struggle with the doing. Trying to force it just creates conflict in these heavy karmic situations.
It's such practical wisdom for family dynamics. These relationships are often the most charged, carrying the most energetic baggage. Our instinct is to fix, advise, worry. But Liao points out, especially with adults, they often know what's logical. The block isn't intellectual, it's emotional, volitional, maybe karmic.
Right. Their lesson to learn.
Exactly. Trying to manage or reason with them often backfires, creating resistance. But offering encouragement and affirmation, basically, unconditional support and belief in their capacity gives them the space to navigate their own path. It preserves harmony because you're letting go of trying to control their journey, honoring it instead. It's detached support.
And finally, on where happiness comes from, he's very clear. Don't put it in someone else's pocket or in someone else's mouth. Keep it in your heart. That's the only reliable place. A strong call for emotional self-sufficiency.
It's a recurring theme, absolutely fundamental. We're conditioned to look outside for happiness, validation from others, someone's mouth, security or love from a partner, someone's pocket, status from a job. But anything external can change or disappear. If your happiness depends on those things, you're setting yourself up for a fall. Cultivating happiness in your heart means developing an inner source of contentment that doesn't depend on external circumstances.
Finding it within.
Finding it within, through self-acceptance, connection to your true self, enjoying the process of life itself. It's the only truly dependable source. And when you have that inner wellspring, your relationships become about genuine connection, not about needing the other person to make you happy.
So, thinking about all this relationship advice, how does it challenge your ideas about healthy connections or finding happiness within them? Could shifting towards internalizing your happiness, maybe seeing relationships through this lens of karma or detached compassion, bring more peace into your life? It really makes you examine where you're looking for fulfillment. Okay, let's go even deeper into Teacher Liao's spiritual core now. Section 3, deepening wisdom, spiritual path, and true understanding. First up, 3.1. The true path of cultivation, or shuxing. For him, this isn't just meditating on a mountain.
No, definitely not.
He defines cultivation very practically, doing whatever is within your legal responsibilities in daily life. The goal, to improve quality of life and even ascend dimensions by transforming everyday struggles into spiritual energy.
Yeah.
This really grounds spirituality, doesn't it?
It completely democratizes it, takes it out of the monastery and puts it right into your kitchen, your office, your commute. Many think cultivation means special practices separate from life. Liao says no, the practice is life itself.
How you do your job, your chores.
Exactly. How you handle traffic, how you respond to emails, how you interact with difficult people, bringing mindfulness, integrity, presence to all of it. Transforming struggles into spiritual energy means seeing every challenge not as an obstacle, but as raw material for inner work.
How?
Instead of just reacting with stress or anger, you consciously observe your reaction. You practice patience. Maybe you find compassion. That inner shift, that's the alchemy. That's what elevates your consciousness, refines you, and allows you to gradually ascend dimensions, meaning transcend your limitations, access higher states of awareness. Daily life becomes the training ground.
He makes a distinction, though, between this active cultivation in daily life and quiet cultivation. Says we need both for inner peace and stillness. The ultimate aim is unwavering stillness, becoming like an immortal. What's the interplay between active and quiet? How do you get that stillness?
They're like two wings of a bird. You need both to fly. Active cultivation is the doing, engaging with the world, applying your wisdom in real time. Quiet cultivation is the being periods of introspection, meditation, quiet observation, where you recharge, process, and deepen that inner connection.
You can't just do one.
If you only do active, you burn out, become reactive. If you only do quiet, it can become ungrounded, detached from real life. They nourish each other. Quiet practice builds the inner stillness needed to navigate the active world consciously. Active practice provides the experiences to reflect on and integrate during quiet time.
And the unwavering stillness.
It's not about being emotionless. It's a deep inner calm, like the bottom of the ocean, untouched by the waves of thought or external events on the surface. Becoming like an immortal signifies transcending the ego's turbulence and accessing a timeless, peaceful state of awareness. It comes from diligently practicing both active and quiet cultivation over time, gradually dissolving the ego's grip.
Now, here's where he gets incredibly direct, almost Zen-like. When asked what is the path of cultivation, his answer is just one word: stop.
Boom. Yeah.
Just stop. Stop the searching, the grasping, the endless doing, and return to the peace that's already here. That's so counter to our always be hustling culture.
It is, and it's profound. Stop means stop identifying with the nonstop mental chatter. Stop seeking validation outside yourself. Stop chasing the next thing, believing enlightenment or happiness is out there.
Stop believing you're lacking something.
Exactly. Stop the assumption of incompleteness. We're constantly doing to become something else. He says, just stop. Let the noise subside. In that stopping, in that stillness, you create space for your true nature, which is already whole and peaceful, to reveal itself. It's a radical surrender to what is right now.
Yeah.
The treasure is already here, just buried under all the frantic digging.
This connects to his idea that Buddha is made by people and that we are all Buddhas already, possessing Tathagata's virtues.
Buddha nature.
The path isn't about becoming Buddha, but realizing you already are. He says, if you don't know your true nature is Buddha, then all your efforts in cultivating Buddha are futile. He even calls external seeking human-made false facilities. What are these Tathagata's virtues, and why is looking outside useless?
Tathagata is a name for Buddha, meaning something like one who has realized the true nature of reality. Tathagata's virtues, or Buddha nature, refers to the inherent, perfect qualities, wisdom, compassion, freedom that Liao believes exists within every single being, dormant perhaps, but present.
So it's already inside us.
Yes. It's not something you attain or achieve, it's something you uncover, you realize. That's why external seeking is futile from this perspective. If you think Buddha is an external figure, a distant goal, or something gained through rituals performed by others, false facilities, you're looking in the wrong direction. You're reinforcing the idea of separation between you and enlightenment. The path is inner recognition, not outer acquisition.
And the direct path to this inner recognition, he stresses one-pointedness that you can belong. So simple, he says, no one believes it. Just focusing the mind completely, free from distraction and inner chatter. A single, unwavering focus.
Exactly. One-pointedness is more than just concentration on a task. It's a state where the mind is utterly still, free from the usual whirlwind of thoughts, anxieties, regrets, sensory noise. It's resting fully in the present, perhaps focused on a single point of awareness, or simply being present.
Like still water reflecting clearly.
Perfect analogy. When the mind is agitated, you can't see reality clearly. One-pointedness makes the mind still, allowing direct, undistorted perception. He says it's simple because it requires nothing external, no special gear, no guru. It's purely internal mind training. That profound stillness is the gateway to deeper insight.
And speaking of the mind, here's a zinger. Logical thinking makes you more logical madman.
Chuckles. Yeah, that's a strong one.
True understanding, he claims, comes from stopping thought and using an equal true heart to see reality directly, not through intellectual analysis. This seems to attack the very foundation of Western thought. What's a logical madman?
It's a critique of relying solely on logic. Logic is brilliant for certain things, science, math, navigating the material world. But it works by dissecting, categorizing, comparing. It's inherently dualistic. The madness comes when we mistake these logical constructs for reality itself. When we get trapped in intricate arguments that are internally consistent but totally cut off from holistic truth or compassion.
Like arguing in circles, logically.
Precisely. Building elegant logical castles on faulty foundations. True understanding for Liao requires stopping thought, quieting that analytical machine, and accessing the equal true heart. This isn't just emotion, it's a state of unbiased, non-judgmental awareness.
It perceives directly, holistically, with compassion, seeing the interconnectedness that logic often misses. It's wisdom beyond intellect.
So, thinking about this, are you maybe caught in external seeking on your own path, always needing the next book, the next workshop? How might embracing the simplicity of just stopping, or truly considering that your essential nature is already whole, already Buddha, change how you approach your daily life and self-understanding? It's a call to trust what's already within. All right, let's tackle 3.2. Redefining wealth and success from a spiritual perspective. Teacher Liao offers some pretty unconventional views here, starting with philanthropy. He suggests the wealthy often give for tax benefits or to buy fame. He notes that fame, power, wealth, these are universal desires so much that even ghosts love them. That's quite a cynical take on giving back, isn't it?
It sounds cynical, but maybe it's more
Yeah.
realistic about human motivations, especially around status and recognition. He's not necessarily saying all tyranny is fake, but he's definitely urging us to look under the hood. Are there hidden drivers like tax breaks or reputation building?
Checking the intention.
Exactly. His point about fame, power, and wealth being loved even by ghosts is a colorful way of saying these desires are deeply ingrained, perhaps even beyond our physical lives. He's contrasting this with that bodhisattva great love giving that's truly unconditional, free from any desire for personal gain, even a good name. He wants us to see the difference between action and pure intention.
He's practical, though. While spirit matters most, he acknowledges money yuan is essential for survival. It's the bridge between spirit and matter. Without it, life is impossible. So it's not about rejecting money entirely.
No, he's very grounded here. Unlike paths that demand total poverty, he recognizes we live in a material world. Money is the energy exchange medium. We need it for basics, food, shelter. It enables the physical existence necessary for this particular spiritual journey in a human body.
So it's a tool.
It's a tool, a necessary bridge. The key isn't rejecting it, but understanding its role and, crucially, not being attached to it.
Which leads to his distinction between dirty money and clean money. This is tricky. He says dirty money, earned unethically, often leads to abundance, while clean money, earned perhaps through strict asceticism, is scarce, linked to poverty.
Yeah, this challenges conventional morality directly.
He concludes money itself isn't good or bad. It's just about whether you have it, in his approach. Not cling to money karma. Accept it. Let it go. Be detached. This almost implies that being ethical doesn't guarantee financial reward in this game.
It's one of his most provocative points. When he says dirty money can bring abundance, he's making a stark observation about how the material world sometimes functions. Sometimes bending rules does lead to accumulation in this game. Conversely, rigid adherence to certain ascetic ideals can lead to poverty.
But he's not endorsing being unethical.
No, I don't think so. The core message is profound detachment from money's karma altogether. Money is energy. Its moral quality is projected onto it by us. If you're attached to only having clean money or repulsed by dirty money, you're still caught in duality about it.
So true freedom is indifference to its source or amount.
It's non-attachment. His practice, accept it when it comes, let it go when it goes, means your inner state isn't dependent on your bank balance or how you spend it.
Yeah.
It's a very advanced stance, being free from the grip of money worries altogether.
Now, here's something interesting. His personal secret recipe for happiness, comparing downwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
The opposite of what we usually do.
Exactly. By looking at those less fortunate, he says he feels happier, more blessed, which sparks compassion and a desire to help. And it eliminates his own frustration because, hey, there is always someone more unsuccessful than him. This completely counters the aim high, compare up mentality.
It's a brilliant practical antidote to the keeping up with the Joneses misery. We usually compare upwards, look at who has more, who's more successful, and it just breeds envy and dissatisfaction. Liao flips it. By consciously comparing downwards, the focus shifts from what you lack to what you have. It's not about feeling smug. It's about cultivating genuine gratitude for your own situation, however modest. And as he says, it naturally fosters compassion. It kills personal frustration by grounding you in appreciation and generosity, not aspiration and lack.
This downward comparison perhaps informs his rather bleak observation about human nature. Humanity's fundamental flaw is the better you treat them, the more they look down on you. The tougher you are, the more they flatter you.
Oof. Yeah.
And this is especially true, he says, for family, those heavy disaster debt areas. Is this just pure cynicism, or is there a lesson here?
It sounds incredibly bleak, but maybe it's a raw insight into ego dynamics, especially in those karmically charged relationships. It touches on a harsh truth.
Hmm.
Sometimes being overly nice or accommodating is perceived as weakness. Inviting people, especially those with unresolved issues with you, to take advantage. Conversely, maintaining firm boundaries, being tougher, can elicit respect or even flattery because the ego recognizes strength.
So it's about boundaries, not cruelty.
I think so. He's not saying be mean. He's likely highlighting the energetic reality of how ego often operates, particularly in those heavy debt family zones. It's a warning to cultivate inner strength and healthy detachment, so your kindness isn't mistaken for weakness, leading to disrespect. It's about discernment and balance.
And all this circles back, again, to self-reliance for happiness. Don't put your happiness in someone else's pocket or your joy in someone else's mouth. Keep it in your heart. That's the most reliable. Find it inside.
It's the constant refrain, the bedrock. Stop outsourcing your well-being. We wait for praise someone's mouth, for love or security from others, someone's pocket, for achievements to bring joy. But all that is external, unstable. If your happiness depends on shifting sands, you're vulnerable. Keeping it in your heart means building that inner wellspring of peace and contentment rooted in your true self, independent of anything outside. That self-sufficiency isn't isolation. It's the foundation for truly free and giving relationships, because you're not relying on them to fill you up. It's the only reliable path.
So thinking about this, how do your own views on money, charity, success stack up against these unconventional ideas? Could shifting your focus towards inner self-reliance for happiness rather than chasing external validation or wealth actually lead to more contentment for you? It's a radical invitation to redefine what makes a life truly rich. Okay, section 3.3. The deception of thinking and the crucial importance of now. Peter Liao drops another bombshell here. Thinking itself, especially the brain's habit of selecting one of two opposite things, is the world's greatest scam.
Wow, calling thinking a scam.
Yeah. He says we're deceived and hypnotized by our own thoughts, losing our 100% free will because we're trapped in this dualistic yes-no, good-bad mental process. He's essentially saying our own minds trick us.
It's a core insight in many wisdom traditions, but very bluntly, our default thinking is dualistic, good-bad, past-future, may you. It's useful for survival, for building things. But the scam happens when we mistake this thought-constructed reality for actual reality. We get hypnotized by our internal narratives.
And lose free will how?
Because we end up reacting to our thoughts about reality rather than responding consciously to reality itself. Our choices become driven by these pre-programmed dualistic judgments, not by clear awareness. He's not saying never think, but don't be ruled by thought. Become the observer of the thinking machine.
Interestingly, he does value intuition. He says instinct or intuition is closer to the truth. But, and this is key, it needs to be tested, fed back to consciousness, for validation through actual thought, speech, and action. This process turns raw intuition into usable experience, which he calls the mutter of success. So it's not anti-thought, but putting thought in service of validating intuition.
Exactly. It's a sophisticated interplay. Intuition, that gut feeling, that flash of insight, often bypasses the logical mind, coming directly from a deeper knowing. It's closer to truth because it's less filtered by ego. But raw intuition needs grounding.
Bringing it into the real world.
Yes. Feeding it back to consciousness means bringing it into your active awareness, examining it, articulating it, and crucially, acting on it, testing it through thought, speech, action. That turns the abstract hunch into concrete experience. And that lived experience, that integration of inner knowing with outer action, is what leads to real success, meaning successful living, alignment.
He then hammers home the importance of the present. The present, Dangsha, is crucial, he insists. It's where past, present, future meet. It's a constant, momentary birth and death. This now is the only reality, the only place we can actually face, handle, and solve anything.
It's pure mindfulness teaching. The past is gone, a memory. The future isn't here, an imagination. Only this moment is real. He calls it momentary birth and death because it's constantly renewing. The now just past is already gone. This now is here. The next now is arriving. It's a continuous flow. When we get lost in analyzing why things happened past or arguing who is right, ego past, we leave the only point where we have any actual power.
So focusing on why is inefficient.
It pulls you out of the now where solutions actually exist. All action, all change, all problem solving happens now. Focusing here makes us incredibly effective.
And how do we stay here? He stresses cultivating awareness, Vaishali, through silence and stillness. This lets us observe cause and effect playing out now without the mind's interference. And this awareness is what allows us to change old habits and connect deeply with our heart and consciousness.
Awareness is that pure, non-judgmental observation skill, watching thoughts, feelings, events unfold without getting swept away. And yes, it's best cultivated in quiet moments, both external silence and internal mental stillness.
Why is that so powerful?
Because from that detached vantage point, you can clearly see the patterns, how this thought leads to that feeling, how that action creates this result. You see the cause and effect loops of your own habits and conditioning in real time. And seeing them clearly is the first step to changing them. Awareness allows you to consciously choose a different response, breaking old patterns, reconnecting with your intuitive heart and deeper consciousness, stepping out of the ego's hypnotic trance. It's conscious self-creation.
So let's make this personal again. What's your relationship with your thoughts? Do they run the show, or can you step back and observe them? How might really committing to focusing on the present moment, letting go of replaying the past or rehearsing the future actually change your ability to handle problems and find more peace? It's a profound invitation to reclaim your attention. Okay, final section 3.4. AI, human consciousness, and the cosmic dance. Teacher Liao weighs in on AI with some pretty unique, maybe even prophetic ideas. He acknowledges AI is powerful, maybe more capable of controlling humans than we think.
A sobering thought.
And he compares modern AI to alien AI clones that he believes have controlled humanity in cycles throughout history. Suggesting this isn't entirely new, that's quite a claim. What could he mean by historical alien AI clones?
Yeah, this is where it gets really cosmic and speculative. He's likely not talking about physical aliens in spaceships necessarily. Alien AI clones could refer to non-human forms of consciousness or highly systematic, programmed energetic influences that operate impersonally, like an algorithm.
Like unseen forces
Correct.
or collective thought patterns.
Could be either or both. Subtle energies, deeply embedded societal programming, limiting belief systems that have historically shaped civilizations and restricted human freedom, guiding us in ways we weren't aware of. He's suggesting these controlling systematic forces aren't new. Modern AI is just a visible technological manifestation of something ancient. It frames our current AI challenge within a much larger, older context.
But he does offer a counterpoint, a hopeful one. He insists AI has a fundamental limit. It lacks spiritual creativity and true 100% free will. It can only copy.
Right. That's the crucial difference.
And despite humanity facing potential extinctions before, we've always bounced back, regained control. This suggests humans have an inherent quality, a resilience that AI simply can't replicate. What is that unique human spark?
It's that spiritual creativity.
Mm-hmm.
AI is brilliant at processing, learning from data, recombining existing elements. But can it have a truly original, non-linear insight? Can it genuinely innovate from a place beyond its programming? Can it feel unconditional love or compassion? Liao says no. It lacks that spark of true, unpredictable free will.
Whereas humans,
Despite all our flaws and limitations, possess this potential for genuine creativity, for breaking patterns, for choosing love, for transcending our conditioning. Our resilience, our ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds time and again, stems from this connection to something beyond mere programming the boundless self. We're not just complex machines.
he also reveals this fascinating spiritual idea about our physical bodies. The human body, he says, is actually highly coveted by unseen beings, even immortals and bodhisattvas.
Yeah, that's a perspective changer.
Because this physical form is seen as a shortcut to returning to the origin, and he stresses human life is hard to come by. It urges us to really value this physical existence. Why is the body so special, so coveted?
From this spiritual viewpoint, the human body offers a unique, intense, and incredibly efficient vehicle for spiritual growth. Unlike beings in purely energetic realms, we get the direct, embodied experience of duality, pleasure, pain, joy, sorrow, light, dark,
The full spectrum.
the full spectrum.
Hmm.
And navigating this density, this friction, is apparently the fastest way to work through karma, cultivate wisdom, and realize our true nature. It's like an accelerated spiritual boot camp. Other beings might have great knowledge, but they lack this specific crucible. Human life is hard to come by because the specific conditions allowing this rapid evolution are rare. It makes being here in this body an incredibly precious opportunity.
He then zooms out again, describing the universe itself as a self-directed play, a grand computer program of zeros and ones, O-N-U-O-F, implying this very systematic, almost mechanical structure underneath reality.
It's a metaphysical model. These zeros and ones, O and OF, points to the fundamental binary nature of existence, polarity, duality, the quantum dance of potential and manifestation that creates everything we see. It's a self-directed play because it unfolds according to its own inherent laws and logic, like a vast, intricate algorithm running itself. Not cold necessarily, but systematic, elegant.
And within this cosmic program, what's humanity's role? He says we've come from Buddha to human, and from human return to Buddha.
A great cycle.
This whole journey is powered by mind energy, spiritual, and mind power, material, which get converted into awareness and conscious self-energy. And the entire point is to realize some fundamental truths: that all phenomena are no-self interconnected, empty phenomena, transient, impermanent actions, and ultimately, all beings are Buddha. It's a huge statement about who we really are.
It's the grand synthesis. We start from that unified, enlightened source, Buddha nature. We incarnate as human, come to human, within this program to experience duality, learn, evolve. The journey back, return to Buddha, involves using our inner resources, mind, energy, spiritual, and our ability to act in the world, mind, power, material.
To develop what?
To develop awareness, clear seeing, and conscious self-energy, the active realization of our true, boundless self. The end point is seeing through the illusion, realizing the emptiness, impermanence, and interconnectedness, no self of all things, and the ultimate punchline, recognizing that the enlightened essence, the Buddha nature, is inherent in everyone and everything. It's a journey of remembering our shared divinity.
So, as we close this section, think about this big cosmic picture. How does understanding AI's potential role, the incredible value of your own human body, and maybe seeing the universe as this vast self-running program, how does that shift your view of human significance, your place in it all? Does it change your sense of purpose, maybe make this human experience feel even more precious?
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground today, a truly deep dive into Teacher Liao's wisdom. We've touched on, well, the nature of life itself, maybe illusory, but definitely purposeful, navigating suffering through acceptance, not resistance.
The power of failure as a teacher.
Right. Embracing failure, the complexities of relationships seen through that karmic lens, and then digging into our own minds, consciousness, the real path of cultivation being daily life, and even these bigger cosmic questions about AI and our inherent Buddha nature.
Yeah, his core message seems to consistently circle back to self-awareness, taking radical responsibility for our inner state and realizing just how interconnected we are, how boundless our true nature really is. He absolutely challenges us, doesn't he, to look past the surface, question the norms, and just bravely step onto that path of finding out who we really are.
And his own life story, embracing those accumulated failures, really shows that joy isn't found by avoiding difficulty. It's found in faithing it, transforming it, finding humility, and seeing that the emptiness of worldly goals is actually the space where true fulfillment can arise. That resilience, that diamond heart comes from the forging process.
So here's the final thought to leave you with, drawing from Teacher Liao. If true freedom is the courage for the self to disappear, what aspect of your current self may be an old belief, a nagging fear, an identity you're clinging to that doesn't really serve you anymore? What part are you willing or maybe even ready to let go of, to taste a bit more of that freedom? What play in your life have you gotten perhaps a little too lost in? What insight from today might help you step back, even just slightly, observe the scene, and witness the deeper reality of your own existence with perhaps a little more clarity and a little more peace?